Welcome back. You're watching Morning Live on this, the 31st of December. Good morning to you if you've just joined us. Now, according to reports over the weekend, gold mines in South Africa are being looted on an industrial scale. A research report stated that the country loses an estimate of approximately 14.4 billion rand due to illicit gold mining. It's also said that tons of gold is being illegally shipped out of the country, particularly between 2012 and 2016. Joining us this morning from our Sea Point studio is Peter Major, a mining analyst from Cadiz Business Solutions. A very good morning to you and welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you, Aylin.
Peter, 14.4 billion rand a year, that's an incredible amount of money. How accurate would you say this estimate is?
I think it's probably accurate within 20–30%. What the industry has done is they calculated at least 10% of the gold produced in this country is also being produced illegally, illicitly, under the radar. And when they estimate there's 30,000 illegal miners, that's what Harmony Gold Mine used to have officially, 30,000 men. So yes, when you calculate how much gold is being stolen from the mines that they think they know about, when you see how many illegal miners mining companies like Sabanya found at just one of their shafts, just one of their cook shafts, they found almost 25% of the men working underground were illegal, close to 30. And then another 25% of the men employed there were obviously assisting them. So it is massive, it's on an industrial scale, and that's just gold. If we start talking about chrome, if we start talking about some of the other minerals, you can add that 14 billion again.
That's incredible. Would you say the illegal mining industry, its profitability exceeds that of the legal mining industry that we currently have in South Africa, considering all the different minerals that we take from the ground?
Not yet, but if you look at the profitability of our legal gold mines, they are barely breaking even though they're maybe 5 times larger than the illegal gold mines, which do have a very high profitability. Because see, when you're illegal, you only run on rules that are economic. You don't do anything that's not economic. But when you're running a legal mining company, you have so many rules and regulations and inspections and royalty taxes and equity contributions. So you're right, illegal industries, they specialize in efficiency. They only do what makes economic sense. They don't spend 1 cent they don't need to. So yes, their profit margins are very high, probably 40–50% at today's gold price.
I mean, but there must be a massive market for this, but why is there such a big market for this illicit gold?
That's the nice thing about gold, and that's what Ernest Oppenheimer discovered or made everybody aware of in 1917 when he formed Anglo-American. He'd been dealing in diamonds for 15–20 years, but the diamond price could be very volatile, and if you produce too many diamonds, you would depress the price. But he said gold is such an amazing commodity. It doesn't matter how much you produce, you can't affect the price. So the world today, it produces 100 million ounces of gold a year, and that doesn't affect the price at all. But if we produce 4 or 5 million ounces of platinum, we can hammer the market and knock the platinum price down. So gold is a unique commodity in very many respects. And that's an important respect, that you can't overproduce. You can't drive the price down by producing too much. So yes, it's an insatiable demand for gold in the world today.
Research says that tons of this gold has been illegally shipped out between 2012 and 2016. They kind of earmark that those particular years. Do you think state capture has anything to do with what we've seen, and particularly what happened during this period?
Yeah, this is a complex issue, and it's true to quite a degree. So say you mine gold illegally, how do you get it out legally? And you mix it maybe with some copper. You melt some Krugerrands and you mix it together. And then you can sell it to pawn shops. And then pawn shops can legally sell it to refineries. And there's a few refineries in South Africa, not just the large Rand refinery, but there's other refineries in the country. And so they only buy gold from licensed pawn shops, but how do the pawn shops get their gold? You know, maybe they think they're buying it legally. So they can legally export it by mixing it in with gold scrap, with old jewelry or melted down coins. The sad thing is you got 30,000 illegal miners. They're working in bad conditions. The accident rate is very high, and they're not paying taxes. They're not paying payroll taxes, land tax, property tax. They're not paying VAT. So our country, our government, is starved of all the money that previously they were getting when the gold was legally mined.
Peter, there's another challenge that is highlighted by this vast network of illicit gold mining, and that is not only the risk to the illegal miners and the challenges to our economy, but also just the geographical risk to the country. I believe that there are hundreds of meters of tunnels underground which are incredibly unsafe, but not only for the miners going underground, but even for the structures above ground.
Look, very, very true. Mining is a very technical business. You need engineers. You need hundreds of years of experience so that each mine you build is safer. And not just safer for people working under it, but safer for the structures, the buildings on top, the farms, the houses. And we'd learned all this by mining 150 years. And we had a lot of international engineers, a lot of international experience that formed and made South Africa the best mining country on the planet. Unfortunately, much of that is being lost. And so the new miners, the new developments, which let's say the illegal new ones, they're not taking too much of that into account. They're not thinking long term. They're using old structures that aren't well supported. I don't believe that they're creating new mines under buildings in Johannesburg that are going to collapse. But they are doing a lot of things that normally you wouldn't do in mining, and they're not being monitored. They're not being measured. They're not being kept track of. And there's a lot of ways it's very dangerous for the whole country, not just the men doing it, but the people around them as well.
Peter, why is this so difficult to police, especially when you're talking about the massive numbers that you are, 30,000 men underground illegally?
It's hard to describe. If you manage any entity that has hundreds of people, it takes a lot of supervision, a lot of good management. Now, go from hundreds of people to thousands of people. The world and even this country itself did not appreciate the expertise that was needed to run mines with 5, 10, 15, 20,000 people underground. As I said, that expertise was built up with a lot of international input, but we led the world in it, and you build it up gradually over time for 100, 120 years. Now, so much of that has been destroyed, so much of that has been closed, and just it's fragmented now. And we've lost a lot of those skills, that expertise of managing thousands of people underground, monitoring them. What do they say? Lead, delegate, control, organize. And unfortunately, the environment has really changed the last couple decades. And we just don't have the skills and the expertise and the systems that we did to keep all these people in order, to keep track.
What is the solution?
It sounds dull and trite, but go back to basics and start an oasis of expertise. Start an oasis of best practice. And it needs buy-in from everybody. You've got huge, powerful unions here. They have so much they can offer. You know, the unions are the mouthpiece of the men. And if the unions can work with the management and the government, and they can filter down to all their members, men, this is how we're going to do it. This is why we're going to do it. And it is like a Cadiz, you know. And we can't have too many rules. You can't just keep putting more and more regulations every time you find something not working. The world worked for thousands of years with just 10 commandments, and most people don't follow half of those. So if we could have simpler rules that made more sense, and all three parties could agree they make sense and sign off on them, But yeah, we do need a mining industry Cadiz here.
All right, thank you very much, Peter. Unfortunately, we've got no more time to continue this conversation, a very important one, and one that we hope will be had by the decision makers. Thank you so much. That's Peter Major, a mining analyst from Cadiz Business Solutions, talking to us about the billions of rand that South Africa loses due to illegal mining. Okay, it's just gone 7 o'clock. Let's bring you your main news bulletin.